online group. I just sent you a website for FCTC. It's Global Tobacco Control Conference, and a picture. And the picture, there's two terms are underlined. It says conference. They are going to have the 10th session of the Conference of the Parties, same thing, on the WHO Framework Convention on Tobacco Control. Can you see the parallel over there?
Yeah.
So I'm just using UNFCCC and climate change as an example to lead you guys to know how internationally countries work together through this way. Okay, but they're not all totally the same. Okay, so I'm going to hand over to Benjamin.
Okay. So we all know the term, the full name of this UNFCCC, the United Nations Framework Convention. It's called the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change, which is established in 1992, aimed to decrease the greenhouse gas emission and adapt to the impact of climate change. Maybe I can talk a bit more about the COP27 instead of that part. It seems like everyone has their fair share of that already. But this is not the thing yet. Where is the COP?
Yeah, COP.
Oh, COP.
Yeah. Just think of COP, please.
Yeah, COP. Okay, full name, the Conference of the Parties. So it is the supreme decision-making body of the UNFCCC. So the COP meets annually, bringing together representatives from all participating countries to assess progress, negotiate agreements, and make decisions on climate-related issues. So these decisions can include setting emission reduction targets, establishing mechanisms to support developing countries in their climate actions. So overall, both of them are important mechanisms and group for international cooperation and decision making to address climate change and its impact. And it's anticipated to be the latest conference of the UNFCCC. The conference is expected to bring together world leaders, policy makers, scientists, and stakeholders to discuss all those related issues and strategies. And it will likely focus on advancing global efforts to mitigate, like they say in the beginning, greenhouse gas emission and all those kind of good stuff. So maybe I should put in a conclusion. So both of them provide a critical platform for global collaboration.
Before you do that?
Yes.
There's a dollar sign over there. I think that's very interesting. That also talk about something that COP27 has achieved that before. Yeah, other COP didn't achieve that. So mobilize.
Yeah, mobilize financial or some.
Yeah, and it has arrows round.
Yeah, it's kind of like what is the topic that we talked about before? Like circular economy for the climate action. So they are thinking about bringing that into the whole thing too. Yeah. But anyway. So both of them demonstrate the commitment of nations to address these pressing issues and pave the way for transformative action towards a sustainable and resilient future. So let us continue to stay engaged, remain informed, and actively participate in this whole action. Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
No?
I know you don't like to ask questions. Okay, so you have a question?
No.
No. Alex? Last class.
Hello, and this is my presentation. And I made this PPT with very little information because there's too much to talk about.
That's right.
And so I made it very simple.
Okay.
And first off, the UNFCCC, of course, the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change. And this is an international treaty signed in 1992, which aims to address the issue of climate change through the promotion of international cooperation among nations. And the treaty aims to limit greenhouse gas emissions, adapt to the impact of climate change, and cooperate on technology development and transfer. And here. And first off, I'm going to explain what the COP means. And COP is shortened from the Conference of Parties. And this is a yearly meeting of all the countries that have signed the UFCCC treaty, as I earlier mentioned. And during the COP meeting, countries comes together to discuss the progress made and share new proposals and strategies to reduce, as I mentioned, greenhouse gas and emissions, and to adapt the impacts on climate change. And of course, 27 means the 27th annual meeting of the Conference of Parties. And the conclusion, these two types of meetings, the main focus is to establish new commitments and mechanics supporting more rapidly and ambitious cutbacks in emissions. And it aims to accelerate the pace of change and promote the importance of global climate action, demonstrating the importance of multilateral cooperation in tackling the climate crisis. And this is it.
Good, thank you. That's good summary of that, because it's a lot of
It's very hard to conclude, so.
yeah. It's good. Yeah, it's difficult. Yeah. Thank you. Jeff? You're Lorenzo, sorry, so who's Jeff? Jeff? No, you're not Jeff. Oh, Jeff is there, sorry. You're Lorenzo. I can recognize the Chinese name. Great, so why did you pick this name? Did you major in Spanish?
No, I'm gonna have
Oh, really?
so
You're half Filipino, that's why, yeah. Now,
I'm already naming this.
yeah, and many Filipino people's family names are Spanish names because they were colonized by hard to.
Not with like 3 words. Rafael Lorenzo, and the final is my Chinese first name. Rafael Lorenzo.
Oh. Rafael Lorenzo.
Yeah, I couldn't tell if it's French name or Italian. Many people.
Lorenzo is Spanish, I think.
I believe so.
Yeah, because this is my father's caretaker is a Filipino lady, and we talk a lot. Yeah, and I learned some. Can you speak Tagalog?
Some basic ones.
Some basic like.
Maganda. And
I don't know.
Maganda means beautiful.
Oh,
Yes.
I know Sana all.
Sana.
You know, my Tagalog is maybe better than you know. I'm just kidding. Sana Tagalog is the language that Filipino people speak besides English.
Their mother language is they have like 50 different Tagalog.
Really?
Like that name.
Oh,
Every
wow.
region has
Every region is
has their
different.
own language or dialogue.
But can they communicate?
They can communicate literally like in English or
But not in a different Tagalog.
yes.
So, okay, since last speakers have already explained or mentioned what I'm going to talk about in this PowerPoint, but they didn't mention about the outcomes of the COP27. So now I'm going to talk about it. So let's talk about
Yeah, I just saw money.
yeah. So on the COP official website, they talk about their 5 outcomes of the meeting, and the first one is establishing a dedicated fund for loss and damage. So COP27, they closed with a breakthrough agreement to provide loss and damage funding for vulnerable countries hit hard by floods, droughts, and other climate disasters. And this is also the first time in history countries recognize the need for finance to respond to loss and damage associated with catastrophic effects of climate change, and agreed to the establishing of a fund and the necessary funding arrangements. Yeah. And,
This is indeed a breakthrough. In the past COPs, there's no consensus like this.
And the second one is maintaining a clear intention to keep 1.5 degrees Celsius within reach. Celsius, it is. So at the meeting, countries reaffirmed their commitments to limit global temperature rise to 1.5 degrees Celsius above pre-industrial levels. That means the global economy must mitigate climate change. In other words, we must reduce or prevent the emission of greenhouse gases to get us to where science says we need to be by 2030. In line with that, a mitigation work program was established in Sharm el-Sheikh, aimed at urgently scaling up mitigation ambition and implementation. Sharm el-Sheikh is an Arab name.
Arab name, yeah. I think one of you had that Arab name on their presentation, the cover presentation.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, in Egypt.
Oh yeah, he's like the.
What does that mean?
You mean his name?
No, that Kashan.
Kashan. Oh, it's the
City man?
no the person's the
Is it
oh
person?
it's a place. It's a place.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's probably the city.
So the program aimed at urgently scaling up mitigation ambition and implementation. And it will start immediately and continue until 2026, when there will be a review to consider its extension. Yeah. So the third outcome will be holding businesses and institutions to account. This new phase of implementation also means a new focus on accountability when it comes to the commitments made by sectors, businesses, and institutions. So they focus on the transparency of commitments from business and institutions. And it will also be a priority of UN climate change in 2023, which is to ensure transparency and accountability.
So you have a zero tolerance for greenwashing.
Yeah.
Interesting. Would you like to elaborate on that?
So this is a post reposted by activist.
Yeah, activists.
Yeah. So they after the meeting, he posted this to claim that all business must follow this principle for those business who attended this meeting or who want to apply this. Yeah.
I think it has to do with transparency issue.
Oh, yeah.
Because I think greenwashing, it's a little bit like money in laundering. They try to maybe with money they try to lie about it, status, and making their institutions look green.
Yeah.
Will have status, will have statistics that are saying that they're green, but maybe they are not at all.
Yes, I guess they just target to the group of the entrepreneurs who are money laundering in the names of eco-friendly. Yeah, I think they are the target of this outcome. So the last one is mobilizing more financial support for developing countries. Like you said, that
They get money.
yeah, they dirty the developing countries, and they want to clean them up.
Yeah, clean it up by money through mobile, giving them money.
Yeah. So one of the key outcomes of the various decisions on climate finance is a call for developed country parties to provide resources for the second replenishments of the Green Climate Fund. At the meeting, the deliberation continued on setting a new collective quantified goal on climate finance in 2024, taking into account the needs and priorities of developing countries. Yeah. So this is the end of my introduction, because I guess I have no more to say.
Good.
Okay.
We talked a lot about it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, now we come to Jeff. Is your presentation on there? Oh, we also have subtitles. What kind of software do you use or app with subtitles? Is it automatic?
Yes, automatic.
Yeah.
I just play my video and
Okay. What kind of software is it?
I use the Lily's computer.
Oh, Lily, so I should ask Lily. So what app
the
is
software.
that? Huh? Which app allows you to have automatic
My name is Jeff, and today I want to talk about the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change, UNFCCC, and what happened at the 27th Conference of the Parties, also known as COP27. The UNFCCC is a big agreement made by almost all countries in the world, and it started in 1992, and its goal is to stop climate change from getting worse. It helps countries work together to reduce greenhouse gases in the air and deal with the impacts of climate change. And every year, countries that sign the UNFCCC meet at COP meetings. COP27 was an important meeting where countries discussed and made decisions about what to do next. And here are some examples. Here are some important things that happened at COP27. The first one is countries promise to do more. Countries promise to do more. And many countries, including the ones that produce a lot of greenhouse gases, made stronger promises to reduce their emissions. They made plans called nationally determined contributions to show how they will cut down on pollution. This was a good sign that countries are seriously about fighting climate change. Okay, and the second point is helping communities adapt. COP27 talks a lot about helping communities cope with the changes caused by climate change. They agree to give more money and support to vulnerable communities so they can prepare for the impacts of climate change, building strong infrastructures and infrastructure and protecting nature were also important topics. And the third one is money for climate action. Countries agreed to give more money to help developing countries tackle climate change. They set up a special fund called the Global Climate Fund, and this money will help poor countries transition to cleaner energy and adapt to the effects of climate change. It's important to make sure that everyone gets support, no matter how rich and poor the country is. Yes, and the next one is sharing clean technology. COP27 talks about sharing good and clean technology with developing countries. This means helping them use clean resources and develop sustainable ways to doing things. It's important for everyone to have access to clean and affordable energy. And the last one is fair transition. COP27 discussed something called a just transition. It means making sure that the shift to a cleaner economy is fair for everyone. And this includes taking care of workers and communities that might be affected by changes in industries. And the goal is to create new jobs and opportunities in the clean energy sector and make sure nobody is left behind. And my conclusion,
COP27 was a step in the right direction, but we still have a lot of work to do. Climate change is a big problem that requires everyone's help. We need to keep working together and taking action to protect our planet and make sure future generations have a safe and healthy world to live in.
Thank you very much. Yeah, and I like something you talk about that I didn't hear before. The previous speakers didn't mention is fair. That is too loud. The fair transition. Fair transition. Okay. Fair transition, and then you talk about nobody left behind, and why fair transition? I like to maybe bring your attention to the word transition. When we're making changes, especially in the country level, when we're or society level, we talk about changes, but we talk about gradual changes. And gradual changes, we use the word transition. For example, when we want to change our economy from linear economy to circular economy, right? We talk about transition into circular economy. And now, with climate change too, we want to transit, meaning transform to different paradigms, different structures, different energies, different industries. That means actually a lot of jobs will lose. A lot of people will lose their job. A lot of industries will go out of business. And that is why not everything is so successful. They will be resistant because nobody want to lose their jobs. Not even to say nobody wants to lose the whole industry, right? If everybody is using renewable energy, and maybe what about the companies that sell oils and natural gas? They're the huge countries. They're going to go out of business, and they're now so big and so influential. Do you think they're going to allow that to happen? Of course not. Of course not. And renewable energies are still very weak. So they can't fight these big companies. So we first have to deal with the things that, and in these big companies are so influential in ways that they employ a great amount of people to do the job, meaning they are actually supporting a great amount of families in the world. So we first have to make sure that when we are moving forward, when we are changing the world, we're creating new jobs, people who are doing the old jobs are not left behind. They are not going to go broken. They are not going to go bankrupt. They are not going to go so poor. So I think this is very important. And thank you guys for all your great work. And I think I like your work very much. And now I think I still have a little bit of time. I know some students write feedback on the internet and said, maybe sometimes I can change the way I teach because everybody speaks so much and there's not a lot of time left for me to say. But I think I don't intend, when I design this course, I don't intend to say too much. For the reason, one is that these are all huge issues, okay? Global issues, just so many. It's impossible to teach you all or to discuss all the content in one semester. But climate change alone would probably take one semester. So my goal is not to help you understand every detail about this. Instead, I want to help you to kind of have some framework to think about, or have some basic knowledge to go forward in the future if you want to go through it. If you want to know more about this,